Many times, we tell stories in our heads about what we think a donor is capable or not capable of. In today's podcast, we tell you an MGO story of how they cultivated a donor from giving $1,000 a year for many years to giving $95,000. You see, by following the Veritus Way of major gifts, this MGO finally got to know their donor. Find out what this MGO did to inspire this donor.
Welcome to the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritus Group, featuring Richard Perry and Jeff Schreifels. Twice a month, we bring you the latest and best thinking about major gift fundraising, so you can develop authentic relationships with your major donors. Here are your hosts, Richard and Jeff.
Welcome to the podcast today. Richard Perry is with me, and we're doing something a little different, right, Richard?
Yep. I mean, we're literally going to walk you through, by way of telling you a story that just came to us recently on how to take a donor who may be giving, $1,000, $2,000 every year and move them to be a $100,000 donor.
I mean, this is an incredible story.
It is.
We want to make sure that as you listen to this one MGO story, Richard and I hear many more like it for those MGOs that have embraced the Veritus way of doing major gifts. So while we're telling you this one story, that's just one story, that's not true, because we hear this type of story all the time.
Well, and I just told you about the donor who was giving $5,000 a year that yesterday gave $1 million cash, $1 million.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a very similar story to this.
Yeah,
so,
it is. It is.
So to set this up, we've received this story from one of our Veritus client experience leaders who works with a number of MGOs.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been working with this particular MGO, setting up their proper structure, all the Veritus Way stuff, and then helping them build their portfolio. Yep. So that's the context.
Yep. And so here's the story.
Okay.
So an MGO had been working for this organization for about 16 months. And in late 2019, she qualified a donor who typically was giving $1,000 to 2,000 annually, right?
Yeah.
So, in other words, their total gift was $1,000 to 2,000 cumulatively in 1 year. And the donor's been doing that for a number of years and had never connected with anyone from the organization.
Now, this is such a typical beginning story. We hear this, and we see this in the data that we look at for nonprofits. When we do our assessment, we see this donor who no one really talks to, but is giving like a low 4-figure gift, and they do it every year.
Yep.
So we'll see when we're looking at the last 4 years, we'll see a number of donors that are giving 1,000 every year, 1,000, or 2,000, even 5,000, sometimes even 10. Every year they're giving the same, but no one's actually reached out to them, either because they're so under the radar of what the organization thinks is a major gift, or they just think, well, that donor is not going to give anymore. So they create this story in their head about a donor, like, well, that donor always gives in December, and I don't really want to rock the boat with that donor. So I don't think they're going to do much more. In fact, there might be like even a note in the database that says something from another MGO that could say, hey, had a brief discussion. They just love whatever we do.
And they always give the same amount. So just don't worry. In essence, don't worry about it. Don't think about it.
Yeah. But a lot of times they're in portfolios because, they're going to give. So it's going to make my portfolio look good.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. So, that's one of those one-time gift donors. This is what the MGO is probably thinking. This is what the organization thinks about this one type of donor. So why don't you go on with the story here?
Yeah. Okay. So in the MGO's first phone call with the donor, after asking the donor's passions and interests and, what are they and so on, and what specifically they liked about the organization, the donor reveals that they really have a heart for refugees. And so the donor asked the MGO a lot of questions about, well, what are you doing with refugees and, versus other organizations. So here it is. Like, here's the MGO trying to figure out what exactly are the donor's passions and interests. Very important point. This is a key to unlocking a donor's desire to give more. So after that conversation, the MGO sent the donor a really detailed email with more information about how the organization really works to serve refugees. And then following that email, the donor sends in a gift for $15,000 and says, use it wisely.
All right. So let's point out here why we think this donor gave the $15,000.
Yep.
The MGO is taking the passion and interests, and in this case, refugees, and giving the donor what they want.
Yep.
Right? They're giving them information about their passion and interests. So here's a donor that for many, many years has given between 1,000 and 2,000 every year. And now, because through the process of qualifying the donor, the MGO finds out what the donor's really interested in.
Yep.
The donor gives $15,000.
I know, exactly. Now, hold it. It actually gets better, Jeff.
Okay.
So the MGO continues to steward this donor throughout the year. I mean, especially, sharing information on the different programs and reporting back on the impact of that gift and projects related to the work with refugees. Now, it's important to note that the information at this point is about refugees. Why? Yeah. Because of the passions and interests. Now, in the fall, the MGO invites the donor to a town hall with the program staff of a specific country that where they work with the refugees. Mm-hmm. So that there's 2 points there. Invited to a town hall for a specific country where the organization works with refugees. The donor couldn't attend, but he was thrilled to be asked, and the MGO sent the donor a recording of the town hall.
Yeah.
Well, the donor sends another $10,000. I mean, and so that happens. Then in December, the MGO hears from the donor's spouse that they're making an additional gift of $20,000, but that will likely be next year's gift, and they're just giving it early. So here's the story so far, if you've been counting. So in the course of the calendar year so far, this donor went from 1 to 2,000 to 45,000.
I mean, this is amazing. So let's step back here for just a second. I want to call out how the MGO reported back on impact. So if you remember, that first gift was $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
And so the donor or the major gift officer made it a point to report specifically on what that gift did.
Very important.
Very important, right? And then they shared more information on the area the donor is passionate about, refugees. And then the donor gets invited to this insider type virtual event and to hear from the nonprofit leadership what's going on with refugees.
Yep.
So even though the donor doesn't go, just being invited to this thing spurred 30,000 more in gifts. That 10,000 in October, and then the 20,000, which was supposed to be for next year, but it was said, well, let's do it early. A lot of donors do that.
I know. I mean, just up to this point, I mean, it's like, wow, this is just amazing. But Jeff, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Last month, the organization was about to make an announcement publicly that they're going to be working to help with vaccine distribution in the countries that they're working in.
Yeah.
And so for the first time ever, the leadership realized it was, it's going to be a good idea to allow the major gifts team to share this information with their donors. Right. Share in advance of going out to the public with it. It's another victory for program.
Yeah.
So the MGO shares this information with their donors. Now, a short time later, the same donor has been giving to refugees calls the MGO again with more questions about vaccine distribution and how they're particularly concerned about refugees having access to the vaccines.
Mm.
Well, so the MGO answers all the donors' questions and promises to share, more information as it's available. So the donor calls back to say, we're directing another $50,000 to be used to help vaccinate refugees. Now, this is after their $20,000 year-end gift that was supposed to be next year's gift. So here's a donor who for years and years and years gave $1,000 to $2,000 every year. No one had talked to the donor prior to this. And finally, a major gift officer reaches out and finds out, what's the donor's passions and interests, and then starts cultivating that donor around those passions and interests. And over a course of 12 months, that $1,000 to $2,000 every year converts into $95,000.
I mean, this story has it all, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
I mean, first, getting that story out of your head that this is all a donor is really going to do. That's a huge thing, right?
It is a big thing. And that sits with you. I mean,
right.
It's not.
So, okay. So the donor is now like, oh, maybe if we actually talk to this donor, there's more there.
Yeah.
Then qualifying the donor. So by qualifying the donor, they actually had the conversation to find out the donor's passion and interests.
Yeah.
So then, okay, this donor is telling me they have a heart for refugees. We do a lot with refugees. I'm going to cultivate that donor around refugees because that's what they told me they love.
Yeah.
They give that $15,000 gift. Therefore, I'm going to do a great job of reporting back that impact and then making sure that I'm constantly cultivating that donor. And you heard they're sending information, but they're inviting those town halls, the insider view thing. And then if you thinking about this story, the MGO hasn't even asked the donor for a gift, right? I mean, this donor on their own, after just all the work that this major gift officer is doing, is giving on their own. Just wait until that MGO asks the donor for a real gift.
I know.
I mean, it's going to be amazing.
I mean, bigger things are going to happen. I mean, Jeff, This is why we're always pounding away on the truth that when you start paying attention to donors and you find out their passions and interests, and then you cultivate them, connecting them to the programs that those passions and interests match up to, it's amazing things that happen. And the thing is this whole story proves that it's actually not about the money. I mean, what's the common theme going through all of this stuff? It's the donor being interested in refugees and the major gift officer basically saying, well, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about that.
Yeah.
And the money is a byproduct of all of that interest and energy.
Oh, yes. I mean, what a story. This really encapsulates how a major gift officer should be working with their donors. And here's the cool thing. This story is not unique.
No, it's not.
This is happening all over where MGOs have embraced the Veritus Way of major gifts. And it's not about, like you said, it's not about going after the money. It's about understanding your donor's passion and interests, building trust, building that relationship, all those things we just talked about, and great things happen because of it. Whew. So we have a free white paper for you.
I love this stuff. It's so good.
I know. And it's called Discovering Your Donor's Passion and Interests. Pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's an important document to read. It really is.
So all you have to do is go to veritusgroup.com and click on our resources tab, and you'll find all our white papers there. And again, it's called Discovering Your Donor's Passion and Interests at veritusgroup.com. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritus Group. Richard and Jeff also write an ongoing blog that you can subscribe to for free at veritusgroup.com. Please join us again next time.